Hello and welcome back to another episode of Spreadex Six, brought to you by WhoScored. I'm your host, George Elek, and I'm joined yet again by Jack Wright as we look ahead to this weekend's Premier League football, and we're looking at spread bets, 6 of them. As ever, it is the total goals market. We're also looking at total corners, total booking points, player goal minutes, multi-markets, and match performance as well. Going to go through all 6, but before we do, Jack, we again have a sign-up offer to all new customers for Spreadex. The link is below in the description here, and it's a £10 completely free bet to use on a total goals spread. So if you haven't signed up yet, do click on the link, sign up for Spreadex and a total goals bet. It's lucky that the first selection of the Spreadex Six is a total goals bet, and this is where you've been smashing it this season, Jack. Is it an 80% strike rate so far this campaign? And we're going to Southampton versus Brentford, where you're buying at 2.9.
Yeah, we had success on Brentford last week, of course. So anyone who used their free bet last week would have picked up a nice return on that. 1.7 the line last week, and they scored 5 goals. Sorry, Leeds fans, to remind you of that fact, but that's the case. So a nice return. And so, yeah, we are going to go back to them. This time we're inviting Southampton to the party as they're hosting. So it'd only be right for us to do that. So we want the actual total match goals here at 2.9, which is a line quite low. Actually, I'm expecting it to be over 3. So take advantage of that. Brentford scored 15 goals so far this season. Only Man City have actually scored more goals than Brentford in the Premier League so far. They've also conceded 9, so that's 24 in total, averaging exactly 4 goals per game. Very high average. Again, only Man City games have seen more than that per game, so no reason not to go back to them this time. I mentioned it last week that they prefer playing against the counter-attacking side. Prefer to counter-attack against the front foot side, which Southampton are. Thomas Frank admitted that as well in his interview, which I was a bit disappointed about, but there we go. He's let the cat out of the bag, but hopefully that won't change things and Southampton will continue to play that way. For Saints themselves, they've scored 2 or more goals in 4 of their 6 games so far this season. The same number of games that have seen 3 or more goals, which is obviously the minimum criteria we're looking for here. No clean sheet in the league from Southampton and only 1 from Brentford, so that would suggest we should see action at both ends here, hence why we're playing the total match goals. 8 goals in their 2 games last season. This one ended 4-1 at St Mary's last season. I don't expect to see the same scoreline, but probably will be seeing a similar amount of goals. So we're buying at 2.9.
Goals on the south coast there, goals in Southampton versus Brentford. Next up, total corners, exactly what it says on the tin. Manchester City are hosting Spurs. City 7.5 to buy their corners here. So quite a high line, but you still think reason to side with them?
Absolutely high line for a side that were top of the averages in most things last season, but also in corners, where they averaged 8.32 across the season, which is a very healthy average indeed. They actually upped to 8.95 when they were playing at home. And this season there's been even more. They've had 27 corners they've taken so far, and they're opening 3 home games. So an average, my maths would say, of exactly 9. I like these round numbers.
Yeah.
Spurs caused lots of problems for Man City last season, as we know. They went to the Etihad, took the lead 3 times before eventually winning 3-2. They also won 1-0 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And we've seen that they cause problems for teams, even the elite these days. So they've gone to Liverpool back end of last season when Liverpool were flying and got a 1-1 draw there. They went to Chelsea at the start of this season and got a 2-2 draw. And as a result, all the sides they're playing against are chasing the game for large periods, which does tend to result in corners coming. So at Man City last year, 10 corners for Man City. At the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, 11 corners for Man City. So we're going to take this line on here, albeit a high one, and we expect Man City to be chasing the game for large parts and therefore cross the line, which is set at 7.5.
7.5, you think Spurs might adopt the similar game plan as they did against Chelsea, sitting in, dropping deep, and that could mean a City flurry of corners. 7.5 to buy. Booking points now, this is 10 points for a yellow card, 25 points for a red card. And rather than going for match bookings, you're looking at a specific team here. But this has been a market, we've mentioned strike rate with the goals. 33 points up you are, Jack, so far this season on bookings. And you think Manchester United are a team to buy here. They go to Palace and United bookings, 24 to buy. So you're after just a red card. Would be nice, wouldn't it?
That would do, wouldn't it? Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. The referee in question here is only one of 2 referees that have shown a red card this season,
wow,
to be honest.
Is that it?
Yeah. Paul Tierney with 2 red cards, and this particular referee, who we haven't played before, has shown 1 red card this season. And that referee is Stuart Atwell. It hasn't got a rhyme yet. It's quite tough. So if you want to think about that while I go through the reasons why we're taking Man United bookings on, then feel free. They've had more yellow cards than any other side in the league so far this season. 20 yellow cards they've picked up. Started the season with 40 booking points in their opening 2 games. Obviously, it's 10 points for yellow and 25 for red with Spreadex. And then since then, the 4 subsequent games, they've picked up 30 booking points. Now, they picked them up when they've been behind, i.e. Brentford. They picked them up when they've been in front, i.e. Arsenal. So the game state doesn't really make too much difference here. Interestingly, on the opening away game of the season, they did pick up 40 booking points. And who was the ref that day? Have we got a rhyme for him yet?
No.
It's Stuart Atwell. So that's fine.
I've got it. Stuart at yellow.
They'll do fine.
Thank you.
We'll take it. We'll get a better one when this bet lands for next week. So as far as Palace are concerned, the 4th most fouled team in the Premier League, and have Wilfried Zaha in their ranks, who is the 2nd most fouled individual. 16 fouls against him in his 5 games that he has played. Last season, not long ago, it was in May, we saw 60 booking points in this, of which Man United contributed 40. And Martin Atkinson was the referee that day. Remember him? So if he can do it, anyone can do it. Atwell showed 7 at the weekend in the game that he took charge of, Spurs v Fulham. And interestingly, he's shown 11 yellow cards in the last 3 games to United. In the last 3 games, he's refereed them. So with the atmosphere, I think akin to that one at Brentford, we should see a similar style of game. Therefore, I like the line. We're buying Man United booking points at 24.
Lovely stuff. 3 more markets in Jack Spreadex 6 ahead of this weekend's fixtures. Now, we don't have enough time to go into the breaking news where we are, that Thomas Tuchel has left Chelsea, but we are looking at a Chelsea game here. It is Fulham hosting Chelsea, early kickoff on Saturday. Mitro, Alexander Mitrovic, his goal minutes are 23 to buy. I'm guessing the news isn't ideal, maybe, but it seems unlikely to have a manager in for Saturday, so you're still happy to side with Mitro?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm thinking that things won't change too much in that space of time while they work themselves out. And Mitrovic has got off to an absolutely outstanding start. He's scored 6 goals in his 6 games. There's only one player who scored more than that, obviously Haaland, who's not doing too bad. And he's only actually blanked in 1 game this season. He scored in 5 of his 6 games, and that one blank was against Wolves, which is no disgrace. They do like a 0-0. But he missed a penalty in that as well. So realistically, he could well have had the full house. He scored goals against Liverpool, against Arsenal, and against Tottenham in a tough start to the season for Fulham. He's had more shots than anyone else in the league with 27. Nobody's had more shots on target than him than he's 15, and he's also had the most headed shots with 12. So expect him to cause a little bit of havoc in this Chelsea side that are up in the air, and even more so now with the news that Tuchel's obviously gone. So it's the early kick-off as well, which tends to ring alarm bells for the kind of elite clubs. It tends to be a little bit more of an opportunity for an upset there. So expect Fulham to be bang up for this one. Looking at Mitrovic's goals so far this season, like I said, he scored 6 goals. And apart from the opener, which he scored after the half-hour mark in the first half against Liverpool, all the other 5 have come in the second half. So obviously coming with some juicy goal minutes, which is ideal for this bet. And of course, Chelsea have only kept 1 clean sheet this season on the opening day of the season away at Everton, conceded in every other game since then. So the line's 23, pretty low for a striker in such great form. Happy to buy this one and look forward to seeing him score at least once.
Seeing him score at least once. Mitro there, the selection of pair goal minutes. A couple more before we finish. Multi-markets, this is where you multiply 2 total match events values by each other. You are looking at corners here, times booking points rather than bookings themselves. In West Ham against Newcastle, buying at 420. Yeah,
as we always say, a very volatile market this one, so be very cautious as to your staking plan to make sure that you know exactly the most you can lose. But we are in with a safe pair of hands for this particular game. One of our good friends, of course, it's the Porce. Craig Porce, the referee. Sits at number 3 so far this season as far as his cards are concerned. 19 yellow cards he's shown in the league. 3, 4, 5 and 7, so a nice consistent amount, and luckily no donuts in there as well, which is nice. And over the last couple of weeks, West Ham have had to dig in after that really tough start to the season. You know, that losing sequence has seen them kind of get a little bit more down and dirty, so to speak. And in the last 2 games, we've seen 60 booking points and 70 booking points from their games, so very high numbers. And we did mention about Newcastle's missing players last week as a contributing factor why we were going against them. Well, this week we might well see Bruno Guimaraes and Alan Saint-Maximin, or at least one of them, coming back into the side, which should then obviously help us in both these lines. There were 60 booking points when these 2 met in this fixture last season, so a nice high number there. I'm going to focus on Newcastle really for the corners. They've either taken or faced 13 corners in each of their last 3 games, which is an incredible amount.
Yeah.
They've also hit double figures in three of the 6 games they've played so far this season, and their games average 13.3, which is the second highest average in the league. Themselves, 7.5 corners per game. Only Chelsea and Liverpool have a higher average, and we saw 10 in this last season with 13 in the reverse fixture. So I'm happy to go take this one on. Cards by booking points, booking points by corners at 420.
420. Finally, match performance. This is where there is a value attributed to every match event in the game. Check out the Spreadex site for that, including corners, goals, penalties being awarded, cards, and then, of course, minus 25 points for the Holy Grail. We are still chasing it. And you mentioned there that Wolves like a 0-0. They do, but they go to Liverpool, which means we're getting a high line. You're selling at 95. Maybe the Holy Grail here, even if you missed that, just 1 or 2 goals should still see you home.
Absolutely right, yeah. We found the Holy Grail last week. Who would have thought it would have been at St James's Park?
Yeah.
It's even less likely to be found here at Anfield. But, they got the second highest points, the second highest corner tally, the second highest goals, and this ended 3-1 last season. But they've got a tough away game in Europe this week, away at Napoli, so that's going to take a little bit of edge off this Liverpool side. And although their processes are decent, most shots in the league, most shots on target, most of those came in that one game against Bournemouth, of course, the only game really where they've clicked so far this season. They don't quite see themselves. They obviously got a 0-0 draw last weekend against Everton. And we know this Wolves side, they know how to set up, they know how to be tight defensively. They've obviously switched from a back 5 to a back 4 this season, but it's had absolutely no detrimental impact on their defensive processes. Best defence in the league, only conceded 4 goals. No one's conceded less goals than that. So that's working extremely well. Their average is just 1.17 goals per game so far this season. 2 0-0 draws already, 2 1-0 results in those 6 games, and 45% of their fixtures ended in either 0-0 or 1-0 last season, which is an incredibly high amount. Going forward, it's not helped them though. No one's scored fewer goals than their 3 this season. So we know what we're going to get with Wolves. Look, we're likely to see corners. So I'm going to take that on the chin. But saying like that, last week we saw 18 corners in that game, which still turned a 30-point profit. So sometimes you just have to kind of take it that it's not all going to fall your way. So we'll go on to the disciplinary. Liverpool, 5 yellow cards, which ranks them 19th in the league as far as discipline's concerned, or good discipline's concerned. 1 red card, of course, but that was a headbutt, so we'll rule that one out as a bit of an anomaly. Wolves sit in mid-table. I'm happy to take sides that are 2 yellow cards per game, which is exactly what they are. Only 1 yellow card in this fixture last season as well. Andy Madley's the referee. The lowest yellow card per game average in the league last season. A little bit higher this season, but expect him to revert to norm. 36 yellows in 16 last season, so nothing much at all. He took charge of the Liverpool game against Fulham at the start of the season. Didn't show Liverpool a card in that one. And he's got an interesting quirk when refereeing Wolves. In his last 4 appointments with Wolves, he's only shown them 1 yellow card across all those games, and 5 yellow cards in total in those 4 games for both Wolves and their opponent. So interesting quirk. Hopefully that will continue and the goals will be low and we'll get another nice return on the match performance. Set in at 95.
Sounds like a booking sell there, maybe as well.
Yeah, we can get on that.
There you go. As I say, if you haven't signed up to Spreadex before, check out the description and click on the link. They'll get a free £10 goals spread bet there. Do check out Spreadex for all of your betting needs across football and other sports over the weekend. And do subscribe to the Who Scored YouTube channel for all the Spreadex 6 shows with myself and Jack, and plenty more preview content. And do check out the Who Scored site for all of your stats needs across all the games in England and across Europe this weekend. Do ensure you're gambling responsibly. Do enjoy the football. And always remember with spread betting that losses can exceed your initial deposit.